With historic low interest rates, this may be the perfect time to refinance or to buy your dream home. Call Ishu Yochana today, a loan consultant at Loan Depot, for a complimentary loan consultation. Ishu is fluent in English and Assyrian, possesses over 18 years of experience, and is licensed in Arizona, California, Florida, Michigan, Illinois, and Wisconsin.
Assyrian Foundation of America was established in 1964 as a 501c3 nonprofit in California to help needy Assyrians around the world support Assyrian education and preserve and promote the Assyrian language and culture. Since 1977, Nimbe magazine has been published under the auspices of the Assyrian Foundation of America and distributed around the world. Every day since inception, Assyrian Foundation of America has been a window of hope to keep Assyria alive. For more info, please visit AssyrianFoundation.org.
إيمانويل أكسيدنت اتنرابا ناشا ليطي متبال سلطة شكلي. اتلا نسيانة بدنا كيسس injury law. و بيالباية قريمخ. إن آتن ينكل بتد بيتا خزموخن يطاني اتلوخن بوقارة مخبرون المنيان التلفون 8 أربع شوا وشا 8 تري وشا 5 خا يعني توكن بيت injuryrights.com. شمي إلى توني كالغراكس كي يمزمن لشان خلية يما.
OpenVPN, connecting your world securely. We believe all people should have unfiltered access to the internet. This will strengthen our society and provide people with equal opportunities. Our mission is to connect your world securely by providing a more safe and secure online experience. OpenVPN is the provider of next-gen secure and scalable communication services. Our award-winning open-source VPN protocol is the de facto standard in the open-source networking space with over 50 million downloads. Visit www.openvpn.net to use our consumer VPN private tunnel or our business VPN solution access server.
شلام عليكم. أنا ريبيكا سايمون. میگیبد یودا اتشامیران قبول خوی ممشنه. ارخن امان اودیو ایل الک بدرویا. الک بدرویا گوشیتت الپو الجماعة چی خمشه جاوت تهران ایران الدنيتيله. عدیه ایلی جاوت باستن جاو هارفارد یونیورسیتی و ایلی خدنه کاندیدیت ات PhD قا فيزيكس و ایلی گوشیتت أربعة. الک رابع بشانتي لوق الخرزان. ميرسي قد قبلت قد يتفت منن همزمد. همزن تن كم سوية بلشانة إنجليز يم بلشانة سوراي. إنا بخشاون بس فيزيكس همزومت بشراحتي ود بلشانة إنجليز همزمت.
بخشاون بس بايتويا چون بسات و هر خسری کلمات من فارسی یا انگلیس ممکن مبلغ نه.
رابس باي. Alek, you were born in Tehran. Tell us a little bit about your parents, who they are, your family, if you have any other siblings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was born in Tehran. I grew up in Tehran, and I grew up in an Assyrian family, and my parents are still living in Tehran. And they're very devout Christians, and they've been super supportive throughout all these years. For, you know, in my studies and in my career and everything. And I also have a sister, and excuse me, and she's also studying physics. She's a PhD student in physics in the University of Toronto in Canada.
I see. So your parents are empty nesters at this time?
Yes, unfortunately.
Both kids to parents. Now, why both of you, brother, sister, are in physics? Does physics genes run in the family?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think when I was in high school, I didn't think that I would pursue physics, but my sister studying physics definitely was very influential in me to, you know, just to give it a try, to explore it, to see how it feels. But also my dad wanted to study physics when he was younger, but for financial reasons he couldn't pursue that, and he studied civil engineering. So from very young age, my dad would talk about black holes and interesting physics concepts to us with a lot of excitement and energy, and I think that kind of motivated both of us to pursue physics later on.
Now, you've been here in the United States for about 3 years.
Yes.
Why is it that you're speaking English so fluently, in such a great way? Did you study English back home?
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I mean, back home I took some English classes from elementary school and also like throughout the middle school. But just being here, using my English, speaking to people, that definitely helped a lot with improving my English. I think just actively using a language helps a lot with getting more and more comfortable with it, getting more fluent in it.
But it's just the way you speak English is really impressive in only 3 years. You could know English and read it and write it, but being such a good having such a good conversational English is truly impressive in such a short period of time.
Thank you so much.
Now, how is physics different in Iran or here? Did you go to physics? Did you major in physics undergrad in Iran?
Yes, I studied both math and physics in my undergrad in Iran, and I got my bachelor then, and then I applied to different universities, and I got into Harvard, and I came here. As for the difference, I would say one of the most striking differences to me is the level of collaboration and discussion that happens in the American universities, and that science doesn't happen in solitude. It doesn't happen individually. You need collaboration. You need to be able to talk to others who have similar ideas, who would help you sharpen and clarify your thoughts. And there is a much higher level of that happening in the American universities than, let's say, my undergrad university.
And does your sister also think that when you discuss your studies with your sister, is there a difference between how physics is taught here versus Canada?
So she's doing it different. She's studying in a different area of physics, but I think there are some differences. But I'm not sure if the differences are more related to the the difference between our fields, or is it more about us studying in different countries? But I would say, I think in my field, or in my university and my field, my experience, the importance of attending different workshops and conferences and having discussions with people, that's very important, and maybe it plays a more important role than how it contributes to your academic experience in Canada. But I'm not sure if that's because of the differences between countries, the educational systems there, or between the fields.
And what is your sister's name?
Her name is Olinka.
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 Olinka. And is she an older sister? She's
Yes.
older than you? And what stage of studies is she at?
She's also doing a PhD in physics, and she's near the end of her PhD program.
And do you know what thesis she's working on, or what?
Yes, so to my knowledge, she works on quantum computation and quantum optics, like quantum information, which is really a basis for maybe the next generation computers that we're going to have in the future, and how we're going to communicate and how we're going to make those kind of communications in the future secure. So people are working on those problems that we're going to face in the future now in the universities, and her research pertains to that.
Do you often discuss your studies with each other? You have the same language, physics language, and talk about your studies?
Yeah, sometimes we do, and it feels really nice to be able to talk about our majors with each other. But to be honest, because the fields are a little different, sometimes what she says goes over my head. So I try to follow, but sometimes I cannot.
I know that you have won some awards internationally. Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, so when I was in high school, I was more into math than physics, and I found it really interesting, just the beauty of it, and that you could just sit somewhere and think about all these abstract things, and after a while, it would all come together, and you would solve it. So I was introduced to a competition called Mathematics Olympiad, and there is an international version of it. There is International Mathematics Olympiad, and every country sends a team of 6 students to compete against each other in those international competitions, and there are some other competitions beforehand that countries individually hold to select that team of 6. And I competed in those, and I was fortunate enough to get to that team of 6 and compete in the International Mathematics Olympiad twice, and I earned gold medal in both of them.
Now, I don't know if I'll understand what the gold medal was in as far as the subject. What was it that you won the gold medal for?
Yeah, so Math Olympiad is based on elementary college level math, and we're given 6 problems, and we have 9 hours to solve those 6 problems in the span of 2 days, and you have like an hour and a half for each problem, and it's really more about just learning a little math, but then being able to creatively utilize that math to attack different problems, to solve different problems. And it's more about the art of problem solving and how to think. And I was really blessed and fortunate to be able to be part of that, because that definitely contributed a lot to the way I approach problems these days in my research, and also opened many doors for me later on in my career.
What was the process of selecting people for this 6-person team? What did you have to go through in order to be selected?
So there are different stages. In the first stage, I think around 30,000 students from all over the country participate, and I think around 1,000 students, or some numbers similar to that, close to that, are selected. And then there's a second stage where these 1,500 students compete against each other for I think around 40 or 60 spots. And after you get through that, there are multiple funnels in every stage, less and less people make it through. And then that group of 40 people go through a 3-month-long training during summer, and there are several exams during that training period. And at the end of it, 12 students out of those 40 students are awarded national gold medal. So after that, those 12 students go through a 1-year-long training period and training program. And during that 1 year, again, there are several exams, and through those exams, a team of 6 is selected out of 12. So it's a year and a half
lengthy process.
Yeah.
Now, you said you're good at math.
I won some medals in math.
Okay, you're better at math than I am. Now let me test you. 6 people out of 30,000. What are the odds that somebody gets selected?
Yeah,
it's hard. You need a calculator.
Yeah.
But I know it's tiny, right? That much we know.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
How many times did you participate in the Olympiad?
So I participated twice in this process, and I got through the stages both times, and I then attended I represented Iran in the International Mathematics Olympiad, and I won gold medal in both times. there was also another competition, the International Mathematics Competition, which is different than the International Mathematics Olympiad. That has a shorter selection process in Iran, and yeah, I was fortunate to get selected for that one as well 2 times. One time I got a silver medal, and the other time gold medal.
Amazing. So is this what really got you into Harvard? What else got you into Harvard?
Yeah, that's a very good question. To be honest, I don't know the answer. I mean, I know a answer, and that's God's help. Just God definitely opened many doors and was just helping me throughout. But these medals, I think they definitely helped with my application, with my admission. But there was also recommendation letters that I got in my undergrad, the research that I got that I did in my undergrad, and you have to write some essays for application. I got help from a lot of people, including my sister, to make those essays as good as I can. I also got help from my cousins who are in the UK for that, and just try to perfect every ingredient of the application to the extent that I was able to, and it paid off. Yeah.
Is that the only school you applied to?
No, I applied to 9 schools in total, I think.
All in the United States?
No, 2 of them in Canada, the remaining in the US, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe 10 schools, not 9 schools, yeah. I got into 3 American universities and both Canadian universities.
May I ask which ones you got into?
Sure. I got into Harvard, MIT, and Caltech. Yeah.
You got into all 3 of them.
Yes, but I also didn't get into some other universities which I applied to.
The 3 top ones, that's really high scientific schools you got into. That is truly impressive.
Yeah, it was really just support of a lot of people and God's blessing.
With historic low interest rates, this may be the perfect time to refinance or to buy your dream home. Call Ishu Yohana today, a loan consultant at Loan Depot, for a complimentary loan consultation. Ishu is fluent in English and Assyrian, possesses over 18 years of experience, and is licensed in Arizona, California, Florida, Michigan, Illinois, and Wisconsin.
Assyrian Foundation of America was established in 1964 as a 501c3 nonprofit in California to help needy Assyrians around the world support Assyrian education and preserve and promote the Assyrian language and culture. Since 1977, Nimbe magazine has been published under the auspices of the Assyrian Foundation of America and distributed around the world. Every day since inception, Assyrian Foundation of America has been a window of hope to keep Assyria alive. For more info, please visit AssyrianFoundation.org.
إيمانويل أكسيدنت اتنرابا ناشا ليطي متبال سلطة شكلي. اتلا نسيانة بدنا كيسس ات انجري law. و بيالباية قريمخ. إن آتن ينكل بتت بيتا خزموخن يطانة اتلوخن بوقارة مخبرون المنيان التلفون 8 أربع شوا وشو 8 تري وشو 5 خا يعني توكن بيت injuryrights.com. شمي إلى توني كالغراكس كي يمزمن لشان خلية يما.
OpenVPN, connecting your world securely. We believe all people should have unfiltered access to the internet. This will strengthen our society and provide people with equal opportunities. Our mission is to connect your world securely by providing a more safe and secure online experience. OpenVPN is the provider of next-gen secure and scalable communication services. Our award-winning open-source VPN protocol is the de facto standard in the open-source networking space with over 50 million downloads. Visit www.openvpn.net to use our consumer VPN private tunnel or our business VPN solution Access Server.
What kind of a child were you? You know, were you always did you always feel a little different than others?
I don't think so. I think I was very energetic. I would just run around the house. I calmed down later in my life, but I was a tough child to have. But I think academically speaking, I was I think pretty good during my my years of middle school and elementary school. But in high school, it was when I came across some really good teachers. I was accepted into a really good high school, and then everything kind of took off.
So what did you think as a child? I mean, you were, let's say, 8 years old. Were you thinking math and physics a lot of the times? Did you see the world through the prism of math, sciences, and physics?
I wasn't very familiar with physics until very late in my high school, but I was always interested in math. I always found math to be a fascinating universal language, that it's this, you know, unique language that you can use in many different ways to describe I mean, you can use it in various fields, including physics, and it's just very powerful, and there is something about it that has always been captivating to me. So I think I was always interested in math, and my dad was also a huge math fan, so he encouraged me and my sister as well in this path, and my mom was super supportive in every stage. But I didn't know much about physics until later on. I had a really good teacher in high school, and he talked to me about physics very close to my, the end of my high school, and I was just thinking about what major to choose in the university and college. And he told me about relativity, he told me about physics, and it was just so cool to see the level, the abstract math that I was kind of in love with. You could use that level of abstraction for something that actually exists, and you can see it in the universe, and make use of that math to describe events that happen in the universe. So I found that super interesting. So when I went to college, I majored in both of them to see how that goes. And then I fell in love with physics.
Wow. If you could not have been a physicist, let's say you had no opportunity, what would you have been?
Probably mathematician.
Okay, it's still in the same sciences arena. What area of physics are you interested in?
So currently I'm doing string theory, which is a very, it's on the theoretical. String theory, yeah, like vibrating strings. And it's on the more theoretical side of the physics spectrum, and it's kind of interdisciplinary, meaning that you have a lot of math in it as well as physics intuition. And it's a theory about how the fundamental forces of universe and the fundamental particles that we have in the universe can be unified into one beautiful mathematical framework, and how we can make predictions about some very old, hard, but open problems in physics to understand really how the underlying fundamental forces of the universe interplay and work.
And how would you apply the string physics in let's say, regular life? For somebody like me, who's not a physicist and doesn't know much about it, how would you explain to me the real applications in a simple language? How would that apply to our lives?
I think string theory at this stage doesn't have any application in that sense. It's more about satisfying the intellectual curiosity of mankind. So it's like, let's say 100 years ago, Einstein came up with general relativity, which is the theory of gravity. And at the time, it was just to answer some theoretical questions, but later that found application in our day-to-day life, which is GPS, or the very phone that we hold in our hands, and the GPS that we use in like in our day-to-day lives, that's based on the general theory of relativity that Einstein came up with 100 years ago. So we really don't know what kind of application string theory might have far in the future, but for now, the real motivation behind it is just the intellectual value of it, to really understand how the nature works.
So is that a relatively new field of physics?
Compared to the history of physics, yes, but it's been around for a few decades. It's been around for maybe like 40 years now. Yeah.
And what would you like to do with your physics PhD?
Mm-hmm. So my primary plan is to stay in academia and hopefully become a tenured professor in academia, because I mean when you're in academia, when you're an academic, the two things that you do most is doing research and teaching, and I love both of them. I like doing research, and I also like teaching what I know to other people. It's a very rewarding experience, and because of that, I think that's an ideal job for me.
Do you know where you would like to teach?
Either United States or Iran, probably United States, but also I'm really open to just what God has for me. So we can't make perfect plans, and I think if there is one thing that the pandemic showed to us in the past 2 years is that when you devise a plan, it can all just go away with something very unpredictable. There's a lot of uncertainty in life. So yeah, maybe the naive plan that I have is to stay in academia, probably in the U.S., maybe in Iran, but I'm really just open to what God has planned for me, whether that's, I mean, both about the country and the career and everything.
A lot of times there's a lot of discussions in the scientific community that as we grow more sophisticated in understanding science and become more technologically advanced, that we, how do I put this, perhaps reject divinity and existence of God, or question it more, the existence of God. Now, I know you're a devout Christian. How do you see science and God living side by side? Does physics, the more understanding you gain of physics, does that support more your faith in God, or does it create more doubts in you? How do you reconcile the two in you, science and God?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there is a perceived tension between scientific method and faith, and that's very prevalent in academia and like and how more and more secular it's getting. And I definitely struggled with that in my undergrad, and I even kind of, like, my faith was affected by it. I drifted apart a little bit, and as an adult, I would say I came to Christ in my undergrad, even though I grew up in a Christian family. So yeah, that's a very real question that I think a lot of Christians who are in academia face and should deal with it on a day-to-day basis. And my perspective on it is that so if you're a Christian, and if you're a believer, or if you're an atheist, you can do science either way, but your faith will affect the way you view science. And I usually don't.
It's not the other way around.
I usually don't see it the other way around. And from my lens, and I think it deeply inspires you even about the way you think. When when you have a creator in your mind, and when that's in the back of your head, the way you approach different problems, your inspiration, I think, would be different towards problems. And I don't really see any one of them refuting or rejecting the other ones, and I think there could be a very peaceful coexistence between the two, and your faith, whatever it is, will just influence the way you do science, and you can have both of them at the same time.
So at this time, from what you know of physics and based on your studies and knowledge and education, there isn't anything in physics that outright rejects the existence of God.
I'm not familiar with anything in the science, and I think that would reject the idea of God. And I think the question, maybe there is even a more fundamental answer to it, that science is something that by nature is not absolute, is not like faith. It's something that you should be open to the idea of your understanding of the universe changing. So even if there is something that today makes you think that, makes you think in a certain way, it might change tomorrow. But the nature of faith is that you arrive at it from a different path. You don't arrive at it from from an argument based on another principle. It's really something that you come to it with your feeling, with your heart, with your emotion, and at least for me that was the case. And because of that, I think it's different. It holds a different place in our minds and in our hearts, and by almost by definition, science to me cannot refute or disprove the existence of God.
Because of faith, because of the strength of faith.
Yeah, because of the nature of science, really, because it's something that it's based on what you observe. Faith is based on maybe how you feel. Faith is absolute. Science is something that's very dynamic. It changes. So I think by its nature, it cannot make an absolute statement. But but I would also say that the same way I believe that science cannot, disprove the existence of God, it cannot. I don't think it can prove the existence of God either. It's just
agnostic
a different tool.
At this time.
Exactly.
It's agnostic.
Yeah.
But however, there are many people in the world who really want to believe, want to have faith, but they are waiting for some evidence, some proof that God exists. They're waiting for science to aid them and guide them through their faith, because now blind faith is a little difficult for some people, and they need some scientific evidence. Do you think that will ever happen? Do you see that just based on your inner feelings?
Yeah, based on my gut feelings, I can't see that happening in
cannot see
it happening in foreseeable future. But I would also say different people have different experiences of how they've come to believe in God, and some people have been inspired by the beauty that they come across in doing science. But some other people, including myself, they've found God not necessarily in the science that they do, but via a different thing. And for me, just praying when you're in a low point of your life, and listening to a worship song, and just seeing how God works every day in our lives, and just how He works in his own mysterious ways and make things happen that are very unintuitive sometimes and very contradictory to how you expected things to go. And really seeing God's hand in your lives and feeling His presence through prayer and listening to worship songs, I think that was what changed my life. But different people have different experiences.
Are you aware of any physicists who at least attempt to prove God based on physics principles?
Yeah, I'm sure there have been plenty of them. I know a lot of physicists who are deeply religious, and I suspect that they tried this. Unfortunately, I'm not very educated on this. Maybe people who have studied like philosophy and philosophy of science can answer this question better. But I think, for instance, Newton was very deeply religious, and he was a great physicist. He was, in a way, founder of the modern physics that we know of. So, yeah, I'm sure there have been plenty of people who went down that road, and I think different people approach. This is a very important question in one's life, because I think your attitude towards life and the way you set your goals, the way you value your actions in life is really somewhat sometimes rooted in your answer to this question. And scientists, it's really understandable for scientists to pursue to use the scientific method that they know to arrive at an answer to this question. But I haven't seen anyone doing it in a way that would convince me of a scientific resolution to this question. But I'm sure there has been, and there is, and there will be.
Now, on a lighter note, away from religion and physics, obviously you're a brilliant young man. From your accomplishments, you're such a young man, and from accomplishments, you have done very well so far. Is there anything in your life that you're lacking? Like it's difficult for you to do compared to other people. Like I've heard, I don't know if it's true, that Einstein couldn't tie his shoestrings. So is there an area, I don't want to put you down, or I don't want you to put yourself down, but it's just interesting always to me to know people who are so high above everybody else. What is there to balance this level?
Yeah, I've seen people who don't lack in any aspect that I could spot. So I've seen people who are just, on average, really good in all the metrics. But me personally, I think I could do a lot better on the social aspect of life. There are times that I find myself, some social interactions sometimes can be challenging. But apart from that, I think, God has really loved me with all that He's provided in my life. But if I had to point out one thing, I think that would be social life. I could definitely do much better in that.
May I give you my observations?
Please.
I have interacted with you several times during this convention in Tucson, Arizona. And I don't know what you feel inside of you when you're interacting with people. But I'll tell you what we observe and what we see and what I see. And I look at people very with a keen eye. And I can tell you, you come across as such a wonderful young man.
Thank you.
You come across very comfortable, very pleasing, and very likable. So please get back inside and tell yourself, I come across just fine, and socially you are amazing. You're a gifted young man, and very kind and gentle. The Christian in you is coming across very well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That means a lot. I'll try to convince my inner self. It's going to be challenging, but I'll try my best.
It'll come with age too.
Yeah.
The younger we are, the more vulnerable we are to what we look to others and from the outside. But you are wonderful, and thank you so much for sitting down, keeping the young people, your friends outside, to come and talk to me. And it was a pleasure, and I wish you all the best, Aziza.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to me as well, and this was a very enjoyable experience. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Very happy. Merci. يشخانا مغبة قدا convention تبيقخ برابة يا البنات الرابة منتية رابة هنانة رابة صليلة ورابة أمتناية ألك بدرويا وخاتو إنا خدنا من دا دوصة أكلن قد أخنن إتلن أدخى مرجانياتي جابت أمتن قد ريشن وقصن بدمرميلة أبي باسيمة قاواهد ألك وخاتو قد أتخيال سورجر بالسنة وإتلن هيفي قد رابا أبرونن وخاتو بيسقي أولول وقصن بدمرميلة باسيمة رابا.
With historic low interest rates, this may be the perfect time to refinance or to buy your dream home. Call Ishu Yochana today, a loan consultant at Loan Depot, for a complimentary loan consultation. Ishu is fluent in English and Assyrian, possesses over 18 years of experience, and is licensed in Arizona, California, Florida, Michigan, Illinois, and Wisconsin.
Assyrian Foundation of America was established in 1964 as a 501c3 nonprofit in California to help needy Assyrians around the world support Assyrian education and preserve and promote the Assyrian language and culture. Since 1977, Nimbe magazine has been published under the auspices of the Assyrian Foundation of America and distributed around the world. Every day since inception, Assyrian Foundation of America has been a window of hope to keep Assyria alive. For more info, please visit AssyrianFoundation.org.
إيمانويل أكسيدنت اتنرابا ناشا ليطي متبال سلطة شكلي. اتلا نسيانة بدنا كيسس injury law. و بيالباية قريمخ. إن آتن ينكل بتت بيتا خزموخن يطاني اتلوخن بوقارة مخبرون المنيان التلفون 8 أربع شوا وشا 8 تري وشا 5 خا يعني توكن بيت injuryrights.com. شمي إلى توني كالغراكس كي يمزمن لشان خلية يما.
OpenVPN, connecting your world securely. We believe all people should have unfiltered access to the internet. This will strengthen our society and provide people with equal opportunities. Our mission is to connect your world securely by providing a more safe and secure online experience. OpenVPN is the provider of next-gen secure and scalable communication services. Our award-winning open-source VPN protocol is the de facto standard in the open-source networking space with over 50 million downloads. Visit www.openvpn.net to use our consumer VPN private tunnel or our business VPN solution, Access Server.